Hi everyone, and welcome back to your maths lesson this week with me. What we are going to be focusing on this week is going to be continuing on with our place value, and we are going to be focusing on comparing numbers within 100. Okay, so before we begin, you are going to need a pencil and some paper ready to do some of the activities today. You might also like to collect some objects that you could use to help you when you are doing your amounts. So, as we begin our lesson every week, we are going to start with our flashback 4. So please pause the video after each flashback 4 and then complete them. So that's the first one, and this is the second. And these are lots of things that we have already covered in the last couple of weeks. The only thing we haven't covered recently is the turns. Okay, so we have done it, but it was quite a while ago. So you might have to try and think back to some of the activities we did with using the B-bots and things like that. So let's begin with our problem of the day today. So these are a group of postmen or postwomen, and they are going to the post office and they have collected all their letters for delivery. The question that you're going to have to solve today is who has the most letters to deliver? Is it Mark or Janet? And then the second part of the question is, who has the most to deliver? Is it John or Sue? I'm going to ask you to use your skills on comparing numbers. And if you are really, really clever, you will be able to use the symbols that we've learned before, which are our crocodiles. So we eat the biggest number, are they equal? And then work from there. Okay, so please pause the video now while you show your answers. So question A was, who has the most letters? Was it Mark or Janet? So I need to look first how many Mark has and how many Janet has. So Janet had 64. So I have made it using my tens and ones, as you can see. And then I have done the same for Mark. So I've used my 10 and 1s grids. So let me think. The first step I'm going to do is have a look who has the most tens. So by looking, I can easily see that Janet has 6 tens, whereas Mark only has 4 tens. And then I look at the ones, Janet has 4 and Mark has 9. Mark has more ones. So which one is the largest number? Well done. It's going to be the ones with the most tens. So if I have a look underneath, we can see that I've also lined them up in a row to see which one equivalates to more. So 64 is greater than 49. And I've written it as a comparison symbol, as you can see underneath here. So 64, and the big mouth is pointing to the 64 because it's the largest number. And 49 is the smallest number. So Janet has 6 tens and Mark has 4 tens. So Janet has the most envelopes to deliver. And it is the same thing when we look at John and Sue. So John and Sue have used their grids to represent how many tens they've had. They both have the same amount of tens, so they are equal amounts of tens. So the next thing I need to do is to look at the ones to see who has the most ones. So we know that they have 30 each, so they have 3 tens, so there's 30 there, and there's 30 here. So we know that Sue has 2 ones. So if I add them together, I know it makes 32. Whereas John has 2, 4, 6, 8 ones. And that makes 38. So is 2 ones or 8 ones more? Fantastic, well done if you said that the 8 ones are more. So 32 is less than 38. So as you can see, I've written 32 and I've put the small end of the mouth pointing to 32 because we know that the crocodile eats well done, the biggest number, which is 38. So John has to deliver more envelopes than Sue. So well done if you managed to compare them numbers at home and you use the correct symbols. And that is what we are going to be focusing on today. So we're going to recap first by what we did last lesson. So we're going to compare these two numbers. I'm going to do it first and then you can do it after me, okay? And you'll do the second one. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to represent 46 using my deans of 10s and 1s. So if I have 4 10s, 1, 2, count with me, 3, 4. So there's my 4 10s. And then I'm going to do how many 1s? 6. Fantastic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that means I have 40 of my 10s and 6 1s. And if I add them together, I will have 46. Now I'm going to do the same, but with the 10s on the next number. So how many 10s? 5. Fantastic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And how many 1s? Just the 1. Well done. So that means I have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So I have 50 plus how many 1s? Well done if you said 1 at home. So that makes 51. So which side has the most 10s? That's the first thing you're going to look at. Well done. If you have noticed that it's this side, the 50 is a larger number and it has more 10s. So 51 is larger or greater than 46. So all I'm going to do is I know that my crocodile eats the biggest number. And I can do the same thing underneath to represent. So now that I've modelled this one, what I'm going to ask you to do is to solve the next one for me, please. So on your piece of paper, I would like you to draw out the 10s on one grid. And then I want you to represent it using deans underneath. You do not need to draw the little squares. All I would like you to do is to just make long lines. So you can do 7, etc. like so, okay, to represent it. And then for your 1s, you can just do little squares, okay? So you can now model that on your piece of paper. So please stop the video now. I am then going to go through the answers now. So if you haven't paused the video already, please do it now. So let's have a look. 72. So I'm going to make 7 10s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I'm going to have how many 1s? 2. 1, 2. Fantastic. And then I'm going to do the other side now. So 71. So it's the same amount of 10s. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I need how many 1s? 1 more. So first step, you check how many 10s in each of the numbers you have. So I know that I have 7 10s on this side and 7 10s on the other side for the other number. That means they are equal. So that means I now need to move on to look at the 1s to see which one has more. So I'm going to look at the 1s. So you can see the 1s for 72 and the 1s for 71. Which side has more 1s? Well done. It's the 72 has more. So that means that 72 is greater than 71. So I need to make sure that my crocodile is pointing to the right amounts that are larger. So please now tick and fix your work. So what I'm going to ask you to do now, this is a little problem that I'm going to ask you to solve. So you are going to need some paper to make these 3-digit cards. So all you need to do is cut out 3 squares and write the numbers on them, and then make sure that you can move them around on your page or on your table, okay? And the problem is, Joe has 3-digit cards and makes a 2-digit number. So a 2-digit number is any number that has 2 digits, okay? So 71 is a digit, 72 is a 2-digit, okay? this is a 3-digit number if I put them together because I have 634. Well, I'm not asking for that. I'm asking for a 2-digit number. So a 2-digit number will be a number like 34 because it has 1, 2 digits. Okay? I haven't really spoken much about digits. So what is the largest number he can make? The next part of the question is asking you what is the smallest number he can make? And then how many other different numbers could he make using them 3 cards? Once you've done that activity, please take some pictures, or you can write it on a piece of paper if you'd like, of you completing this activity. Stop the video now because when I go to the next slide, the answers are going to be on there. So let's have a look at the digit cards. We had 6, 4, and 3. So to make the largest number, I need to put the largest number in my tens. So remember, this is tens and this is ones. Oops, a daisy. Tens and ones. So the largest number, if I went back to my last slide, was it 6, 3, or 4? Which one was the biggest? Well done, it is 6. So I've put that in my tens because I know that's going to make the biggest number. And then my ones, I'm looking then out of the last, oops, a daisy, my mistake, looking at the 2 last cards. So I have my 4 and my 3. Which one is larger? Is it 4 or 3? Well done, 4 is larger, so I'm going to put that in the ones because then that means I'll have a bigger number. So well done if you have made that home, and give yourself a big tick and a big pat on the back. The smallest number is the same thing you are going to do. You're going to do tens and ones. So you'd write tens and ones above your number. Oops, daisy, what am I doing? There we go. Now I'm looking for the smallest number to go into my tens because I'm trying to make a small number. So my smallest number out of my 3 cards was 3. And then I look for the next smallest number, which was either 6 or 4. 4, well done. So I've moved them to go together. So 34 is the smallest number I could make. And then I experimented and used all the different cards and moved them around to see what numbers I could make. So from these 3 cards, I could make 34, 43, 46, 63, and 64. And as you can see, I've done them in order from smallest to largest. So if you have managed to work out all of them numbers just from using them 3 cards, give yourselves a big fantastic. Good job, guys. So we're moving on now to our next activity. So when we compare numbers, we don't always have to use the deans. So we don't always have to use the tens and one sticks to represent. We can use different images and apparatus. So as you can see underneath, I've got Numicon, and then I've just got random circles to represent tens and ones. So for the tens, I've represented it by writing the number 10, and then for the ones, I've just represented it by writing number 1. So I would like you now to have a look at this problem. You can draw it onto your piece of paper, and then can you compare them, please? So stop the video now because I'm now going to go through and solve it. If you are a bit unsure, please follow along with me now. So let's count how much is on one side. So looking at this, there is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So I know that 1 bar of Numicon equals 10. So I'm going to count how many tens there are. And I'm going to write tens and ones underneath to help me. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tens. So I'm going to write 6 under my tens. Do I have any ones? No, I have 0 ones. So I'm going to write 0. So that means the number that this represents is 60. And I'm going to do the same with the other side. So I'm going to write tens and ones. How many tens do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to write 4 in my tens. And then I'm going to see how many ones I've got. 1, 2, 3, 4 ones. I'm going to write that under my ones column. So I have 60 on one side and 44 on the other. Which side has the most tens? Well done if you said it was this side. So this side is greater than this side because 60 is greater or larger than 44. So that means when I do my comparison symbol, the big mouth has to point to the biggest number. So what I'm going to ask you to do now is to compare these at home. I am not going to go through this one with you now. All I'm going to ask you to do is to make sure that you have done your tens and one grids next door like so. So you can solve and write the numbers underneath. Tens and ones, and again, you'd write tens and ones, okay? And then it'll tell you which number you have made. Please pause the video now because I'm going to go on to the next activity. So, moving on, the only difference I have done now is I've done a table with tens and ones. So I could easily have written T and O for ones. But instead I've written tens as the number and one as the number. So, as you can see, they look exactly the same. How could I solve this problem? Well, let me help you. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to count how many ones I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have 5 ones. Do I have any tens? No, I don't. So I'm just going to write 0. So that means this side is 5. And now look at the other side. Do I have any ones? No, I have 0 ones. Do I have any tens? Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 tens, which makes it 10, 20, 30, 40. So which side is greater? Which side is less or smaller? So looking at this, I know that 40 is greater than 5. So my crocodile mouth needs to go this direction. So the next one is a little bit different again. This time I've written the numbers in. So I have 8 tens and 8 ones. So all that means I have is 80 and 8. Now I'm going to look at this side. So how many tens do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 tens is the same as saying 60. So 6 tens is the same as saying 60. How many ones? 1, 2, 3. I have 3 ones. So if I add them together, I have 63. So which one is bigger? 63 or 88? Which one has the most tens? Well done, 88. So all I need to do is make sure that my big mouth is pointing to the big number. And as you can see, I haven't drawn any teeth on my greater than and less than. I know we've learned it as crocodiles, but please make sure you are just doing the lines this time. We are now moving on from drawing images onto our greater than and less than. So now is your turn. So please stop the video now. Can you complete these questions? Draw them onto a piece of paper or print it out if you want to, and then complete the middle parts. The extension today is asking you, can you represent each number using concrete resources? So could you use resources in your home to represent these questions? I'm now going to move on, so please pause the video. So as you can see, it is a bit of a longer lesson today. So if you want to take a 5-minute break, please pause the video now and give yourselves a big shake around to wake up your brains. So let's have a think about our next one. So what numbers can be used to complete this comparison? Can you prove it? So I have 70 less than something. So you need to think of a number that is greater than 70. I am not going to give you the answers because there's a number of answers that you could use. Okay, so please have a think about this. If you want to pause the video and write down some examples, then that would be wonderful. So I'm going to help you now and tell you how you could solve this. So the first thing I'm going to do is to find the number 70 on my 100 grid square. So you're going to have to get your 100 grid squares that you have made the other day to help you. So if it's a whole number, I know I'm going to look at the tens column going all the way down. So 70 is 7 tens, so it's going to be quite far down. It is here. So I am looking for any number that is greater, because the crocodile mouth is pointing to the blank number. So that means all I have to do is pick a number that is greater. So any one of these numbers would have meant that you were correct. So I could have written 87, say, because I know that is greater. I could have written, I'm going to write another one. So I could have written 74, because that is greater too. I could have written, let's have a look at my 100 grid square. Which number is bigger than 70? I'm going to pick 98. So as you can see, there's a range of numbers that you could have chosen. I'm going to ask you now to use your 100 grid square to solve the next one. So 93. What number could we put into the missing gap? So we're looking for the number 93 to begin with on our 100 grid square. So what you could do is you could put a counter or a bit of pasta or anything on the number 93 on your 100 grid. I'm going to draw a square. Now, I need to look at the mouth of the next greater than and comparison symbol. So I can see that it's pointing towards 93. So now I'm looking for any number, because it's the dot at the end, look, it's the smallest number, less than 93. So I could have chosen a load of numbers for this one. So I'm looking for where my 93 is, and I can choose any of these numbers, and it would have been correct. I could have easily chosen these two down here. Okay, so at random, I'm going to choose any number that is smaller than 93, and I'm going to pick 44. 44. And again, you could have chosen any of the numbers. So please try and solve a different one for me, which is going to be these. So using your 100 grid square that you have already made, if you haven't made one already, please do so now. You are going to start with the activity to section A, going down, and then you move on to the challenge. Okay, if you're finding the challenge a bit difficult, that is fine. You can stop or ask your mummies and daddies for a bit of support. The only thing you really need to complete is these questions here, but I would like to see some of you challenging yourselves. So stop the video now while you complete these questions, please. And then finally, to finish off today, we're going to do a quick plenary. So looking at this statement, is it true or false? So stop the video now while you work it out. So the answer is false, because 57 is less than 75. And you can see from the diagrams that 57 has 5 tens and 75 has 7 tens. So well done if you have solved all the fantastic work today at home. Please come back tomorrow and we are going to order numbers within 100 tomorrow. Bye, everyone.